Before I begin my TED Talk, I'd like to note that this TED Talk will be discussing sensitive topics such as anxiety, depression, suicide, and self-harm. Please, if any of these topics offend you or if you're sensitive to these topics, feel free to leave the auditorium now or feel free to click off the video. From a young age, ages 4 to 18, we're sent to a building and we are told what to learn, when to eat, and even when to use the bathroom. Along this journey, we come across other individuals our age. We may click right away and become friends, or we create drama and conflict. Additionally, as learning and studying progresses, it progressively gets harder. It gets to a point where some students decide that their grades are their absolute everything. Or maybe somebody else, such as a parent or perhaps even a teacher, decides that that student's grades are their absolute everything. And that particular situation can be really stressful. You see, grades at this young age can potentially make or break our life, but you see, that's the scary part. Because we're given a standardized test, the SAT, at ages 15 to 18, and we're told, if you do well, you go to a good college, an Ivy League college, you obtain a well-paying job, and you're successful. However, if you fail, you don't go to a good college. You don't get a well-paying job. You just might not go to college at all. You failed. This causes us to fall into deep stress and despair at just a young age, ages 15 to 18 years old. Especially in this present time, school is harder than ever. And now keep in mind, at ages 15 to 17, we are still kids. We are minors. We are still growing and we are still learning. Personally, I think this is a factor that school ignores, and it should never be ignored. Currently, we are still going through the COVID-19 pandemic, a pandemic that took the whole world to a shock in April of 2020. In April of 2020, COVID-19 cases started skyrocketing, and we were all really excited because our spring break got canceled. It got extended from 1 week to 2 weeks at first. And you know, all the students, all of us, we were like, yay, a deadly virus is canceling school. But, you know, 2 weeks then turned into 3 weeks, which then turned into the rest of the year. And so we began online learning in March. Online learning? No way, this is gonna be so easy. We can all just cheat off each other, said all of the student body across America. Well, as easy as that sounds, it wasn't that simple. You see, we had 7 to 8 classes ranging from the early morning to the late afternoon, with 1 to 3 assignments from each class due every night. It's almost as if teachers and faculty didn't seem to take into consideration about how the pandemic may have been affecting us students, which just goes to show about how many of them actually care about us. During the point of my life that I was on online learning, I was really stressed, as were a majority of students. I mean, we were ambushed by a deadly virus, a pandemic, and we were on lockdowns. And instead of letting us spend time with our families, getting to talk to our friends over the phone, we were told to be seated at a desk in our house and learn. Well, not many of us are learning over online school. This year is really hard because of the pandemic. And you know, this may come to a shock to some of you guys, I don't know, but not a lot of students are happy at school. School has been really stressful. I mean, we're young. We're supposed to be spending our lives right now. We're not supposed to be prioritizing our grades over our mental health and our well-being, but unfortunately, that is what a lot of students end up doing. As I said, not many students are happy at school, and to prove this, I conducted a survey. I polled 50 students from 3 high schools, ages 14 to 18. From the following high schools: Osceola County School for the Arts, Toho-Pekaliga High, and Harmony High School. 39 out of 50 students said that they are not happy at school. I asked the students, what about school stresses you out? 10% of the students said grades, 6.4% of the students said homework, 2.1% of the students said people, and 78% said all of the above. And only 2% said nothing. Now, it's no doubt that school is a stressful factor, but what I think is that a lot of adults don't seem to understand how stressful school is. 62% of students said that they have thoughts of self-harming because of school. And 38% of students said that they have actually self-harmed because of school. 46% of students said that they have suicidal thoughts because of school. Young teens are reporting that they want to end their lives because of school. Students have ended their lives over school. Yet some adults still have the nerve to belittle us and act condescending towards us students. I asked them, how do you feel about school right now? 48% of the students said awful, and 30% of the students said that school could be better. I asked, do you think schools are managing student mental health well? 91%, that's 43 out of 50 students, said no. I asked, are you comfortable in consulting a faculty member regarding your mental health? 80% said no. And I asked, have you lost motivation to do your schoolwork? 90% of students said yes. Now, it is really hard to find motivation when there is so much to do in such a short amount of time. Because of all of these downsides, students are finding that they have lost motivation to do their schoolwork. But I have a few student quotes. I asked them, why does school stress you out? There's just so much, and I feel like no matter how hard I work, I just find myself barely passing these classes. It's not fun, and there's just so much. I feel like I'm falling down an endless hole of expectations on how I should be. I don't really have a reason. The teachers just aren't as motivated as before. And now most of the time, they just read off a PowerPoint or make us watch videos. It's the same thing every day and week of the cycle. It is just endless and I'm never happy anymore. Honestly, I've lost motivation and school is just the first thing. I feel like it doesn't matter. Even when I do get good grades, there's always this demand to do better. It's an unachievable standard. You've heard it from your own students across the county from your own schools. Yet, they will always say things like, we care about you. You are not alone. We're here for you. But how many teachers will come up to us? How many of them will say, it's okay if you can't turn in your work. I understand it's been rough for you. I know you're going through a lot. I know there's a lot to handle for your age, and it's a lot. So it's okay. I asked, do you think schools are managing student mental health well? I asked why, and the students responded. The teachers continue to stress out their students by piling up assignments for them to finish at a certain time, leaving them no time for socialization or time for themselves. I feel because there is so much pressure on students, they don't ever really explain the fact that it's okay to make a mistake. In a lot of situations, they don't really seem like they care enough about student mental health. It seems to me that schools only care when something happens. Example, if a student kills themselves, guidance counselors are out talking to everybody. But where was this concern before? There don't seem to be many attempts at prevention, and when they are, it's simple things like go outside and breathe. They're not very helpful. You can't claim that you care about our mental health and then continue to pour all of this weight and pressure on top of us. It is a degrading system. We are not lazy, we are exhausted. We are children being told that our worth is determined by letters and numbers. There has been so much stress on us, so much pressure on us, and we are being told to do well despite all of these facts. And parents and teachers will always say things like, why aren't my children doing well in school? Why are my teenagers not happy? Why aren't my students doing well? But then they continue to call us pathetic. They will tell us that we're lazy. They will call us spoiled, and they will call us ungrateful for not doing well. That is the reality of how we feel. Chances are, if you're a student, You've probably experienced one of the following. Maybe when you were younger, you had some math homework to do, but you didn't really understand it. So what did you do? You went to your parents, maybe your dad or your mom, but instead of getting it done, you ended up slammed at the dinner table at 3 a.m. getting yelled at by your dad, claiming that he doesn't know how to do today's math, and math was different back then. Or maybe you've had a lot of homework due one night. So instead of going to sleep, you pull an all-nighter to finish all the homework that's due in the morning. Or maybe one day you've had a very long and exhausting, tiring day, but you can't go home and sleep. No, you have to finish that biology project that's due in the morning. Or maybe at the end of the night, you end up feeling so stressed, so defeated, that you slam your head on the desk and you wonder to yourself, where did I go wrong? Why can't I do this? Why is there so much? I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. If I can't handle this, how am I supposed to handle life? That is how school is making us feel. But I've come to realize that it's not our fault, and let me tell you why. For 8 to 9 hours a day, we are told that we have to be seated at a wooden desk for 8 to 9 hours, ranging from the early morning to the late afternoon, with only a 30-minute break in between. There's a lot on top of us. There's a lot for us to manage, especially at this young age. As I said previously, it is a very degrading system. It's pretty simple, honestly. You do well, you're successful, you're labeled hardworking, everybody loves you. However, if you do get bad grades, regardless of your situation, automatically people are like, you need to get your priorities straight. You're doing not good. You're not doing well. You're labeled pathetic and lazy. However, that is just simply not the case. While it may be applicable to some of us, it is not applicable to all of us. So, how can we be better? Well, for starters, teachers and faculty should take into consideration that their students are still kids. We have lives outside of school. Not all of them are easy lives. Giving us less homework and more in-class work that is engaging and applicable to real life. There should be more classes that are useful and current, like basic house skills and mental health. Make it more about learning and about having fun as compared to how it is now, which is more about assignments and the tests and the amount of stress that's put forth on students and testing. Giving students more breaks, outlets to vent, and to not judge them based off their academic scores. Some teachers make an active attempt to show that they care about students. They notice when we're not feeling well, they check in on us, they talk to us like we're people. I wish every teacher was like that. Giving us mental health days, longer breaks, less restrictive homework, and less homework in general will make so many of us feel better about school. Just treat us like human beings. Because I guarantee, at the end of the day, a kind teacher can and will go a long, long way. While schools may be trying to demonstrate that they care about our mental health, given the way that they've been treating students, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, it doesn't feel like they do. Students should be happy at school. We should feel safe and comfortable at school. School is supposed to be a safe and comfortable learning environment, but instead, it's a place that students hate and are very overwhelmed and overworked because of it. We're prioritizing our well-being. We're prioritizing our grades over our well-being instead of taking care of ourselves. Well, if you've ever had thoughts of doubting your mind, your worth, your capability, anything like that, just remember, you're not lazy, you're not stupid, you're not dumb, you're not alone. You're simply a person being overworked and overwhelmed. And that's okay, because we're humans. We have emotions, and we're entitled to feel them. Thank you.